Fuck. What's up, people of the YouTube verse? We are back talking X Files retro reviews. What's up, Pete?
Not bad. We're on a holiday here. I don't know about you, but I worked for most of the day, so no holiday here.
Yeah, no, I worked all day too. I'm tired as all get out. And I actually was helping a friend of mine sell some corn before I came home. Um, yeah, Pete gets these weird messages from me sometimes of why I'm going to be late. It's either like a gay sex orgy or like last minute band rehearsal, or sometimes I'm selling corn on the street, so it's tonight was selling corn on the street that made me be a little bit late coming home, but we are exactly on time. We started 10 p.m.
Exactly.
And the like I said, oh, before I go on, because I always forget to do this, thank you everybody who listens to our little love child here, our X Files retro reviews. We started a couple months back, and I'm happy we've kept with it because we're about to finish season 4, and I enjoy the fact that you guys do listen and enjoy our small but consistent audience. We love you. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. Don't forget to like the video and share it and comment, of course. So season 4, episodes 13 through 18. These are very interesting episodes because they are the aftermath of Scully getting the bad news that she's got cancer. And for me, these are extremely Scully heavy episodes, which I appreciated. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the season that garnered her an Emmy win for her role as Scully, and well deserved because she really goes all out, especially towards the end of this season, especially in these chunks of episodes that we're going to talk about today, which are Never Again and Memento Mori and Kaddish, and one that I forgot to put the name. Good lord. Um, well, as we get to them, we'll see them. Okay, we got Never Again, we got Memento Mori, we got Kaddish, we got Unrequited, we got Tempest Fuji, and then we got Max. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And we're going to start right off, so we're not on till midnight, with Memento Mori. Sorry, with Never Again. And this is an episode written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong, and was directed by. That's weird. They don't have a director here on the wiki page. That's bizarre. Directed by somebody. Okay, so this episode premiered on February 2nd, 1997, and this would be Morgan
It
and
was
Wong's
directed
last
by
contribution.
Rob Bowman. Rob Bowman.
Okay, that's weird that they don't have it here on the wiki site and on the. It actually just has a blank space. Directed by, period. Okay, and this is Morgan and Wong's last contribution to the X Files in its original run before returning for the season 10 and 11 revivals, albeit working separately. So this was their last outing, and it was a pretty decent one. Okay, it's got a
Hmm.
7.8 rating on IMDb and viewed by 21 million people. And I'm gonna let Pete start us off talking about this great episode. I really enjoyed it. But go ahead.
I really loved it as well. What I like is about the way the dynamic changes at the start. This is largely a reflection of Scully now having cancer, which we saw in the Betts episode, but she hasn't shared this with Mulder yet. And Mulder is out to check out on some weird conspiracy theory shit, as he always is. And he leaves her with this assignment of sticking with these Russian mobsters. And she's like, you know what? Fuck you. I don't want to do this. Like, it's the first time we've actually seen Scully say no to Mulder. Like, I'm not going to do this. And when he kind of presses her for like, he's flummoxed. He's like, what the fuck? And she's like, you know what? This has always been your life. This isn't what I thought my life was going to be like. And that's the cancer talking. She's seen like the end is possibly coming. And she's wondering, what the fuck have I been doing with the last 5 years of my life? And how did it become this? So I thought that was a great start to the episode, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
Then she decides, because she has no life, she decides to go ahead with the assignment anyway and start staking out these Russian mobsters. And in the process, she meets this dude who got a tattoo at one of their tattoo parlors. What she doesn't know is that this tattoo is talking to him in Jodie Foster's voice, which is awesome because there's the ultimate X-Files Silence of the Lambs connection. And it's making him crazy. Basically, the tattoo is jealous and she doesn't want his attention on other women. And of all things, Scully, away from Mulder for the first time in God knows how long, doing her own thing, meets this guy and she's kind of attracted to him and she's thinking about getting some strange. And Betty, our Jodie Foster voice tattoo, is like, nobody can have you but me, baby. Nobody can have you but me. So again, it puts Scully in danger at the hands of the villain. So there's a lot of things going on with this. I thought it was a really nice follow-up to Leonard Betts in that Scully's cancer is really affecting the way she feels about her life and her work with the X-Files. We see her do things out of character specifically for that reason. You know, she just wants to live a little. And it's got our girl Jodie. And actually, another thing I really liked about it is that it actually turns out that the tattoo wasn't talking to the dude at all, because you never know what the X-Files. It was just like the chemicals that the tattoo was made with caused hallucinations. So it was all in the guy's fucking head.
Yeah, it's scientific X Files. And I agree with you. It's a great character episode, shows the interplay between these two. And I love the opening scene. You mentioned the opening scene. It reflects greatly with the end scene where, Mulder's so aloof. And
Yeah,
sometimes in the X Files groups, sometimes people ask, like, you know, isn't Mulder a jerk to Scully sometimes? And I think he is a few
he
times.
treats he treats her like a subordinate. That's exactly her
Yes.
issue here. He's like, "Are you refusing an assignment?" And she's
Hmm.
like, "I wasn't aware that you're my boss. I thought we were partners."
Exactly. Like she feeds into him, and he doesn't recognize when he's feeding into that. And then he's got this little speech at the end where he says, "Welcome back. You look better than you did in the hospital." So he's very flippant. And congratulations for making a personal appearance in the X Files for the
I
second
like that
time. It's a
quote.
world record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then, he talks about he closes the case, blah, blah, blah. But then the last scene is so great where the field office in Dallas is receiving reports of the image of a missing child appearing on blank billboard outside of Arlington. So all this, and then finally he realizes she doesn't care what he's saying. And he's like, all this because I didn't get you a desk. And then
yeah.
she says, "Not everything is about you, Mulder. This is my life." And then he says,
Yeah.
"Yes, but it's." And then the episode ends. So then we realize that as much as she's glued to him, and her life has melded into his life has melded into hers too, and he doesn't realize it yet. And
And it's taking it over too.
go
And
ahead.
I think it's the cancer that's making her feel this way, because prior to this she was kind of like, she was happy to be along for the ride, but now she's looking back and thinking, oh my god, what have I done with the last 5 years of my life?
Yes, exactly, exactly. But at the same time, it's like they're made for each other, and he doesn't realize it yet. He can't do it without her. She has become his life, and he has become her life. So that's why I love that last scene where he's about to feed her back the same line that she fed, that she kind of tried to feed him at the beginning, that it's my life, it's not my life. So it's a really great episode for the two of them. I'm here on a Reddit page where they're talking about this, and um A guy here says that it's one of his favorite episodes because he says Mulder finally got what had been coming to him, and he deserved it because I can't recall any other episode from the X Files where Scully has been insulted by Mulder as much as this one. First was
Yeah.
at the beginning that he scolds her by saying, "Let me remind you, I worked my ass off to get these files reopened." Blah blah blah. The second insult is during the phone conversation where Mulder suggests that she's incapable of properly handling the case, and that she better wait for him to return. The third insult is when he's asking her, "What, you got a date or something? Are you kidding?" Uh, and so all of this is just exacerbated, as Pete said, by the fact that now she's got cancer. And she's like, "What have I been doing for 4 years? I had this very promising career that maybe I just threw away just to follow this nutcase." And meanwhile, Mulder is on vacation. He's getting his. He went to Graceland. He's a total.
Yeah.
It's like the episode we were talking about last week with was it last week with the
Yeah.
Luke? Oh no, that's coming. Where's that coming up with
That's
Luke
coming
Skywalker?
up. That is
Okay,
coming up.
yes, yes. But where the guy says, "I was born a loser, but you choose to be one," and so it just shows how aloof Mulder is. It takes a long time for him to come around and realize, hey, this woman means whole lot to me than just my partner. And she's, you know, she's probably been in love with him from the moment she showed him his panties in in the pilot.
Yeah.
Um, and she realizes that she can't get that emotional release from him. And speaking of that episode that's coming up, that whole scene where the guy shapeshifts into Mulder, how
Hmm.
quickly she falls, man. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that at length when we get there. So it shows that, yeah, she's totally in love with Mulder. And this guy becomes a release. He becomes a stand-in for that emotional support, that guy who will listen to her, that Mulder isn't. So, a few notes here. Of course, Jodie Foster, wonderful. I remember first time I saw this. I've seen it twice already. I saw the first run, and then I remember it from the when I did the rewatch. I didn't like it because I'm like, I wish I could have actually seen Jodie Foster. Like when they said Jodie Foster's going to be on the X Files, I'm like, oh my god! And then you realize it's just her voice. But this third time around, I really appreciated the fact that
Yeah.
it was
She's
just her
good at
voice.
it.
Yeah, she was so great, and it
Yeah.
would have been distracting to see Jodie Foster because the whole time you would have been like, "Oh, look, it's Jodie Foster on the X Files." As great of an actress as she is, um, I think in the X Files, because we know how Scully was kind of molded after her, it would have been like real Scully
A
and
little weird
fake.
to see them two on the screen. Yeah.
Yes, it would have been like the two Starlings, like the Starling one, and then the version of Starling called Scully. Um, then why doesn't Scully have a desk? No, it's a small basement room. Um,
Yeah.
Now the dude, I like the dude that played the quote unquote villain. He wasn't really acting on his in his right mind because of the chemicals, but I liked him. He was a great stand-in, for what Mulder could have been for her, and I like that Mulder went to Graceland. He's got a whole thing with Elvis, so that was pretty funny. And again, these next episodes, Leonard Betts starts with Leonard Betts, but then this one and Memento Mori, we really get heavy duty Scully background, Scully emotional arcs. And when she opens up
Yeah.
to the dude in the restaurant, or not the restaurant, dingy bar, and tells him how she's got daddy issues, and she likes authority figures because she needs to get approval. I'm like, damn, she's really just letting it all hang out. And that's something that's so cool to see that they were able to write that so well for her. And I don't know about you, Pete, but that whole scene where she gets a tattoo, that was fucking hot, man.
Ah,
Like,
yeah.
I am,
Yeah. Well,
I
this is what I was telling you. In David Duchovny's latest novel, he has the I wouldn't say she's the heroine, but the main character. She gets the exact same tattoo with a snake eating
oh,
its tail. That was like totally a tribute to the X Files. And I
oh,
was
cool,
reading
okay.
the book while I watched this episode. I was like, oh wow, like what serendipitous timing to be reading this and watching this episode, because that probably would have slipped by me in most other circumstances.
Okay, I got you. So I kind of sometimes I watch these episodes vicariously through Pete, and I was just thinking Pete must be really getting hot and heavy because Scully just looked hot in that. You know, they kept doing these close-ups of her face, and she looks like she's having this real hot orgasm, man. I'm like, damn. I mean, for me, season 4, season 5 Scully is like the hottest Scully, but she keeps getting hotter as the seasons go on. It's incredible
Yeah, she
how
does.
good looking she is, and I'm like, damn, she makes that face. You know, anyway, and
Yeah,
Scully finally
there
gets some
is.
dick.
Does she though? No, she sleeps on the couch. She sleeps on the
No,
couch.
she fucks the dude. She definitely has sex
No,
with
I'm
him.
pretty sure she does not. I
Oh, I
think she
gotta
sleeps
search
on the
that.
couch.
Let me see. I gotta search that out. What were you gonna say?
This episode was originally supposed to be. Oh no, the dude makes her sleep on the couch because the tattoo is angry, and he's afraid that the tattoo is going to make him kill her.
Really? I
I'm pretty
thought.
sure she's on the couch, or he's on the couch. I know they don't sleep in the same bed, so it's unlikely they fucked each
Oh,
other.
she wakes up with his shirt,
But
man.
I she answers the door in his shirt. But no, I'm pretty sure they slept in different rooms because he's afraid the tattoo is going to kill her. And I remember she thinks it's
Mm,
kind of strange. But at any rate, what I was going to say is apparently
yes.
Quentin Tarantino was scheduled to direct this episode,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
but
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, he couldn't do it because he didn't have his director's guild card.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, because I saw that they it says here, and when Scully does have sex, she shouldn't be punished for it. But we know that's what's coming. We know when they kiss and Jodie Foster bellows that she's dead. She's dead. No, they definitely had sex in this episode.
Mm, that's not the impression I got. Maybe they made it ambiguous because the impression I got was that when he heard Betty screaming in his head, he's like, I can't have sex with this girl or I'm going to kill her. And she was a bit weirded out by that.
Oh no, I thought they did it, and that's why she woke up with his shirt. They were gonna be like, "Hey, let's sleep separately," but then let me see on the wiki page here if it's clear if she actually does the deed. But I'm pretty sure she. All right, there's the summary. Then the tattoo begins to talk, convincing Ed to steal. No, that's before. Scully, no, that's after. That night, Scully stays at Ed's apartment. The tattoo is angry at him, saying she'll be dead if he kisses her, which he does anyway. The next morning, two detectives arrive in the apartment. Ed has gone out. I don't know, man. For me, it's like they kiss, and it was a pretty steamy kiss. Like, if they didn't fuck after that kiss, then I don't know. Um, but maybe I have to watch that again. For me, the impression was that she got dick. Okay? So,
Yeah,
anybody
could
watching,
have.
I think she did. Come on, she was drunk. She got the tattoo. She was all loose.
Yeah,
He was being a
I know.
gentleman, saying you
No,
can sleep on the couch.
it's not her though. It's him being freaked out that he's going to hurt her.
No, but I think it's like he was at that point where he's like, I can beat this tattoo. And he kind of covers that tattoo. And he's like, she's dead, but like, not. Like, I'm going to beat the tattoo. Like, I met this girl who I'm just like, I'm not going to hurt her. I don't know. But anyway, for me, I think she got dick. But the ergot grass is what makes everybody go psycho. Um, and I like that we got two back to back Scully action scenes because she beat the crap out of Leonard Betts and then she fights this guy. So, and also just a funny note because I lived in Philadelphia for many years and it was a bad trip to Philly. Like, that's never happened before because Philly can be rough. Um, and she's had two personal appearances in the X Files. I guess the first one must have been because of her abduction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But yeah, I give it a 4.5. Definitely like this episode better second time around. And it just shows the range of Scully's character. And, she can be many things, which I think is much better than. I think they can stretch her character a little bit more than Mulder's. Unfortunately, episode 14 brings us to one of my least favorite things that they do with Scully, and it seems like they do it a lot. And even in season 10, they had this, which is put her in the freaking hospital. Scully's always in the hospital. But actually, I gotta see if I can find out. I gotta look on some site. How many times has Scully been in the hospital in the X Files? Seems like a lot. Feels like a lot. But we got Memento Mori. Okay. This
Mm-hmm.
episode has an 8.6 rating, watched by 19 million people. Original air date February 9th, 1997. Written by Chris Carter. Well, a lot of people wrote this along. Vince Carter, Vince Gilligan, John Shaban, and Frank Sputnitz. And once again, what's up with the wiki page? It says directed by, and then there's a space there. So I have no idea who directed this episode.
Rob
So
Bowman again.
well, they must not like Rob Bowman. What did Rob Bowman
Yeah,
do to the X
he
Files
got
wiki?
canceled, man. He's been canceled.
Has he been canceled? Did he say something bad about gay folks? Hey, happy Pride Month, by the way, everybody. Woohoo! Um, so, okay. I don't know what they have. So there you go. More Scully, 3 in a row. That is my first comment here that I wrote as I was watching this. So Scully begins to come to terms with the fact that he has cancer, but her friends and allies begin fighting to save her life, even if it means making a deal with the devil.
Who could
So,
that be?
yes, who could the devil be? Um, so I like that this episode tied back to the episodes way back when with MUFON, the Mutual UFO
Mm-hmm.
whatever organization, and because we thought, because the X Files sometimes does that, it builds this big arc and then boom, you forget about it. So they went all the way back and got us got that connection because all these women that had been abducted, they all got this cancer, and you kind of it put it in the back of your head that they did say this. Scully was abducted,
Mm-hmm.
so what is going to happen to Scully? But if it's been 3 seasons, or not 3 seasons, 2 seasons more or less. Um, so kind of back of your mind, and then here it is again. They go back. Uh, And we do get a little bit, another callback is that Penny was the woman who comforted Scully after she was abducted
Yeah.
because there was that weird woman that was hanging out on at Scully's bedside. They don't explain exactly how she's able to do that. They just say I've been somehow given these powers. So it's kind of cool that they did that callback. But Scully's just in a hospital for most of this episode. It's the never ending storyline of Scully just being sick. But Gillian going for that Emmy win. This is another strong Scully episode where she confronts her demons. She confronts the fact that, hey, she may be dying, and she does it in the Scully way, which is tough as nails. She's not going to cry about it. She's not going to ask for any sympathy. She's just going to do her thing. But Mulder is like, hey, I want to save my partner. He needs to figure out some way to save her. So he break into the Lombard Research Facility. Okay, and he meets with this Dr. Scalion, okay? But he
Mm-hmm.
finds out that this Dr. Scalion is a clone. There's a whole
He's
bunch
an
of these
alien.
guys. Yeah, he's an alien, and they're trying to kill him. And I love this scene, man, with the lone gunman going Mission Impossible with Mulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
real funny, but real cool. And doesn't really get us anywhere other than Mulder finds out that hey, they have more files on Scully, like they have on a whole bunch of people. So it's kind of a cool story, cool little set piece, but nothing really comes of it. The big clincher for this episode, which really puts a wrench in everything towards the end of the season, is that
Yes.
Mulder realizes that the one who can cure her, because he puts the pieces together and realizes, hey, they gave her this cancer, is the cancer man, the cigarette smoking man. And he wants to see him. He wants to make a deal with him. And Skinner's like, don't do it, man. Because you can't make a deal with this guy. He's going to own you.
Mhm.
So he's protecting Mulder, but then, we find out
Skinner
Skinner.
makes the deal.
Skinner makes the deal, and which brings us to a really great episode later on in the season. Uh, but yes, 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 yes. And then my last note is Scully in the hospital equals always boring, man. I'm just not a fan of the Scully in the hospital episodes.
Hmm.
And that includes the one where she came back from, being abducted. I mean, I don't know, just not my thing. So I gave it 3.5 stars. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, yeah, I liked it mostly for Gillian Anderson. She acted her ass off here, and actually Mitch Pileggi did too. I thought of the
Yes.
three of them, like David Duchovny. Actually, of the four of them, because William B. Davis is in this episode as well. Of the four of them, I thought David Duchovny was like really in the background in this one, even though he was doing all the legwork in terms of the acting. It was like Jillian Mitch and the B Man. Um, in terms of the overall story, there wasn't a lot going on. I mean,
Yeah.
you did have alien assassins and stuff, so I guess there's something to be said for that. You did have Mulder breaking into a secure government facility, but well, obviously not that secure if the lone gunman could hack into it and get Mulder in there. But I think the underlying aspect was really good. Just like the realization, first of all, like you said, it tied in to something 2 seasons ago. It's like, what? Did we just forget about that? It's like, no, no, we're going to use it. That all these women not only developed cancer, but they're all dead now. There's like one left
Mm-hmm.
alive. And that's really sobering for Scully, too, because she realizes now that it's like, okay, cancer, okay, well, lots of people live through cancer, and the one survivors, like people like us, don't. We all die, and we die fast and horribly. So her confronting her mortality in that way was actually the most intense thing about the episode. Um, other than that, I think yeah, Skinner's role in this was really good as well. There's a scene where the smoking man is belittling Mulder a little bit, and he mocks him for like being in the basement. And Skinner says something to the effect, "At least he doesn't take an elevator to get to work." And cigarette smoking man's like, "You think I'm the devil?" And Skinner replies, "You can't trust a man who trades in lies." So he's basically saying that like, I believe in these people as like genuinely good people, and making a deal with you goes against everything that I believe in. But if
Mm-hmm.
it will help them, it's worth it. So I thought it was a great Skinner episode as well as a great Scully episode. Mulder does the legwork, but those three were the stars of this episode.
I got you. No, I agree with you in that not much happens. Yes, this is true. Not much happens. I'm trying to get a tally here of how many times Scully has been in the hospital, but I can't find it. But pretty much the first 3 seasons, all the Myth Arc episodes, somebody is in the hospital, whether it's Mulder, whether it's
Yeah.
Mulder's mom, whether it's Scully, whether it's
Or
Scully's sister.
Skinner.
sister
Skinner's been in the
or Skinner.
hospital.
Yeah, Skinner was in the hospital. Um, you know, but oh god, my computer's locking up here. Let me see. No, I can't. I can't find that information. I will have to find out because that's just something in the back of my mind. I'm like, God damn it! It just for me, the Scully one just annoys me because it just seems like a storyline that never ends. It's her somehow, having to
No,
see a
that's
doctor for.
that's cancer for you.
Yeah, but even after she gets cured of cancer, like she gets something else moving
Yeah.
forward. I think when she gets pregnant and then when the baby starts coming, she spends time in the hospital. And then I forgot why she was in the hospital in season 10, but I know there was one episode where she was definitely in the hospital, and I'm like, why? I can't remember now. So anyway, so yes, Scully, bringing it, bringing it. Let's move on to the next episode, which is oh, sorry. There's Memento Mori. I forgot to change the slide. Kadish.
Yes, yes. And
Kadish.
I will bet you a Susan B. Anthony dollar that this is in the Vulture article.
Actually, it isn't for some reason.
Oh, really? Wow.
I
Okay.
don't think it is. I think
Maybe it's
let me
because
see.
Jews are like practically white people.
Let me see. Fresh Bones. They got a lot in season 2, season 3. El Mundo Gira from season 4. I think that's the last one that we got from season 4. El Mundo Gira. And then after
Oh.
that, the X Files apparently got, it didn't offend anybody until season
Well,
6 is the Unnatural.
well,
Uh,
one thing about this too, and this might be why is I was reading something about this episode that the villain was originally supposed to be a Louis Farrakhan type character,
really?
and David Duchovny's like, man, black people ain't gonna like that. So the writer Howard Gordon is like, well, we can make it Nazis. It's all pretty much the same.
Oh, God. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah.
Well, this the ratings kind of have been going down here. So this one is viewed by 60 million people. Written by Howard Gordon, and now we do have directed by Kim Manners. Got 7.2 stars. It's a Monster of the Week story, independent of the series mythology. A hate crime leads to a disturbing series of murders that may involve a being from Jewish folklore bent on revenge. Well,
Yes,
I
yes.
kind of dig this episode only because my sister converted to Orthodox Judaism, and it was cool to see them. And you know what? Pete kind of made a funny point at the beginning that Jews are almost white people. And I think the reason why this episode works a little bit better than some of the one they did about the Chinese folk and the one they did about the dudes coming from Africa on the plane with the leprosy is that yeah, there's a better grasp at culturally what Jews are and what Jews aren't, even if you're getting into the Orthodox sect. So it didn't feel, at least for me, being around a lot of Hasidic Jews, because my sister married an Orthodox Jewish man, so it was heavy duty Judaism. Uh, it felt like they got a lot of the stuff right, especially with the anti-Semitism and the bad guys were the anti-Semites. It was they
Yeah,
created
they
this
they made them
golem.
full blown Nazis though.
Yeah, they made them full-blown Nazis, the white supremacists. Okay, but who's gonna have a problem with Nazis being the bad guys? So
Right.
and then the golem wasn't somebody. It was somebody that was getting revenge for this hate crime. It didn't feel as offensive like with the Vulture article. It's just voodoo is scary, and even though they at the end they do have this kind of explanation of uh but he was just going after the generals that were being mean to them inside the little refugee camp. But you know this was like the golem is killing somebody who's an anti-Semite. That's I can go with that. I can go with that. You know, it didn't feel as um, out of whack as some of these other um, episodes dealing with a particular race or culture. I like that Scully introduced the X Files in this one. I like the nasty looking corpse inside the coffin. And by the way, I didn't even go into the storyline, guys. So what happens is this Hasidic Jewish guy gets killed, gets murdered by these three young teenagers, whatever. And then we find out later that they're connected to this other guy who's a total full blown Nazi. Um, but he never told the boys to kill him. But what are they supposed to do? You know, he's put out his hate. The boys took it to the next level. In all this, we find out that the Jews made something called a golem, which is something that is real. They got some of their stuff right.
Yeah.
There's the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the book of creation. And in Kabbalah, which I studied for a while, there is supposedly this enchantment that you can do to actually bring a being to life, breathe life into it in the same way that God breathed life into Adam, like by making it
Yeah.
out of the dirt. So they got that. At least they did their research. They got it right as far as what a golem is. They just took it to the X-Files level of like he's out for revenge on these guys that killed him. Let me see. Um, Yeah, not much. I mean, I actually like this episode. I gave it 4 stars, but I think
Yeah.
that's because I like the whole Jewish connection from having grown up and being around so many Jewish folks. I think they got a lot of it right. Although I'll tell you one last thing, Pete, that I thought was funny. I wonder if you had the same feeling about. She's telling this story about how the father. You know, when you get married, you get that big ring, right?
Hmm.
And she's telling this story about how her father hid this massive ring for so long, and then finally, when she got married, he got this ring out. It was during the Holocaust. He hid it, and it just reminded me of the Christopher Walken story. You know, because I'm like, remember
Oh
from
yeah,
Pulp
yeah,
Fiction,
yeah. From Pulp Fiction,
where
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
hid this
You have
watch
no
up my
idea what your
ass.
father. Yeah. Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with the scene, but just the way she was explaining it, it reminded me like, and I had this watch up my ass for.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
So
I
I'm
do
like, where
remember
did he
that.
hide this ring during the Holocaust, man? Um, Other than that, of course, Scully takes too long to go upstairs and see the action. X Files, of course. Scully can't see all the good stuff. And the kind of twist at the end, it's a love story.
That
You think it's the
this was the
father.
best part of the episode. Actually,
Yes.
I
Yeah, you
actually
think it's the father,
thought the twist was the best.
but it's the
It's the
actual
wife,
wife. Yeah.
the not quite wife. Actually,
Not quite wife. Yes. She was
that
about
was
to
the
get
problem.
married, right? Wasn't she going to get married on the day he
She
got
was about
murdered?
to get married, and she never declared her love for him, and
Mm-hmm.
that was what actually brought. Nobody deliberately brought him back. He became a golem because they never went through with the wedding, and it was that unstated declaration of love that brought him back as a golem. It
Oh,
wasn't
but I thought,
anyone's.
but she threw that book of life in there, so I think she did it, dude. I think she did her enchantment, and it was the strength of her love with the enchantment that brought him back. She wasn't
Yeah,
ready to let
possibly.
him go. Because remember when they went and they dug up his body, they
Yes.
found a copy of the Book of Life in there, the Sefer Yetzirah, and then they go and research it with the guy who reads Hebrew and everything, and he's the one that explains that there is this enchantment, in Kabbalistic lore that you
Right.
can bring somebody back from the dead if you do this, that, and the third. So I think she did the enchantment, and her
I
desire was so strong and her love was so strong that, and her
Yeah, but
sadness,
she
her
didn't bring
grief.
him back for revenge, though. She brought him back for love.
Yes, but he went for revenge. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yes, love will keep us together. But I dug it. I dug it. You know, I thought it was a pretty
yeah.
damn good episode.
It was good as far as their ethnic horror episodes go. I would still put it a little behind the Chupacabra episode, but not by much. I think they're on close to the same level. Very different, but they both had their own unique things going on.
All right, check this out. Isaac Luria is presumed to have returned as a golem, as is described in Jewish folklore. However, this golem differs from the original legend in many respects. Normally, a being created for a specific purpose, often to defend or avenge. Luria is brought back from the dead simply to be alive again. Furthermore,
Yes.
Jacob suggests that it was Ariel, or the power of her love alone, that raised the golem, when in fact this is an ability reserved for only the wisest and holiest rabbis. Last but not least, a golem is traditionally activated by inscribing a holy word on the creature's head. In this episode, however, the Hebrew word for truth, emet, appears on the corpses in Golem's hand. So you know, it was a mix of her love and giving him a last minute tattoo. But she definitely threw that book in there, so um, very interesting little episode. Let's move ahead. And
Hmm.
Kaddish is actually a very good Allen Ginsberg poem, in case anybody's a fan of Allen Ginsberg. Now, there's another one that I kind of liked. Not great, but solid
Hmm.
episode, which is Unrequited. And this one came out. If my computer will work, I will let you know. Yeah, there it is. On February 23rd, 1997, to 16.56 million viewers. Story by Howard Gordon. Teleplay by Howard Gordon and Chris Carter. Directed by Michael Lang. Got a 7.5 rating. A former prisoner of war brings to light a horrific cover up concerning his comrades and seeks revenge against those who wish he hadn't returned. So, another Vietnam vet out for revenge episode.
Hmm.
What do you think, sir?
Totally forgettable, actually. The beginning was really intense. It starts at this political rally where this general is giving a speech to Vietnam vets, and Mulder and Scully and Skinner are all there, apparently already alert to the fact that somebody is going to kill him. And Mulder's got a bead on him, and the guy just like disappears from his vision. And then the story backtracks 12 hours earlier to how they got onto this guy. They're investigating these killing, well, a specific killing actually, of another high-ranking military officer who was shot alone in his limousine with the driver, and the driver swears he didn't do it. So Mulder, being this clever fellow he is, has figured out that someone found a way to get in and out of there invisibly. So that's basically what it's about, them tracking down this invisible killer who's targeting top military brass and figuring out his motives. Because it is the X Files, the military guys he's killing probably did something to deserve this.
Yes.
But to be honestly, it wasn't that compelling. I mean, honestly, what it reminded me a lot of was Rambo. They just left us there, man. They left us there. The
Yes.
war ain't over. It's never over.
Yes.
It really brought back flashes of that. It was like a poor man's Rambo without the shoot 'em up, really.
No,
Because
I
yeah,
feel
that was what it boiled down to. Like these guys were left behind as POWs, and sometime while they were there, through I guess the isolation or whatever, I think it was a metaphor, actually, a really bad metaphor, that because the government had made them invisible, they developed the ability to become invisible themselves.
Yeah, you
Like,
said that it
so,
was so. No, they gave this convoluted
yeah,
explanation that like the Viet Cong apparently were able to do this, so like
yes,
there's
yes, because they were able to be invisible in the bushes. But dude, that's fucking camouflage. Wasn't supernatural shit. This guy
this
was
guy
like
was like
invisible
invisible.
in like a public square. So yeah,
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of this episode, to say the least.
yeah, I agree with you in part. Again, it's the episode begins in medias res, where and at first I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because Mulder really sucks at surveillance. They all do,
Yeah,
and he feels dude, and I'm like, "What is going on?" So I was thrown for a loop there, and then you get why as the episode goes on. Because that was my first note. I said Mulder sucks at surveillance. He feels dude. Actually, everyone sucks at their job. But dude is Invisible Man.
yeah.
Um, so so yeah, so then the episode evolves into another one of these X-Files stories where they've done experiments on military people, and they're just going, getting their revenge on the people that deserve to get this revenge. But oh, and it's funny, Pete, that you said that the Rambo line, because I actually wrote that in my notes too. I said it's over, it's
Hmm.
never over.
Yeah.
um I didn't mind it. I agree with you that it's forgettable, but I did note down here probably the best vet stories so far, but that's not saying much because their vet stories aren't that great. I mean, Sleepless is pretty good. I really like that one.
Yeah, it's not as good as Sleepless, but it's better than, well, I don't know. It's not about the same level as the dude with no arms and no legs.
Oh no, that one I couldn't get into after a while. And then he killed a little
Yeah.
kid, right? Didn't he push a
Yes,
kid in
yes. He buried him in a sandbox.
Yeah, I didn't dig that episode that much. It got kind of tiresome. Yeah, not as good as Sleepless, but as far as in the category of the X Files trying to make that political statement, and you get a sense. I mean, by the age range of most of the writers, the Chris Carters and company, that was the war that affected them, or that they had the most anger towards, I guess, is the Vietnam War, because they're probably all in their late 30s, mid 40s when they were writing the X Files. So they either had memories of the Vietnam War, or maybe some of them even fought in the Vietnam War. So it's one that they keep going back to a lot and try to make this big political statement about how shitty that war was and all the terrible things that they did to the vets. Kudos to them for making that political statement back in the 90s, but they usually fail at it. It just doesn't come off
Hmm.
as realistic when they add the supernatural stuff, which just comes off kind of as silly, like just kind of weighs down um, the character. I mean, dude, you're an invisible man who was left for dead, but you're back in this U.S. Like, go to the press or something. I don't know. Give interviews. Do something.
Be like Rambo and go live in Thailand and raise chickens or something.
Yeah, you got a lot of options. Especially if you can be invisible. But I'm saying, if you got proof, if you're invisible and you can prove that these guys left you for dead because you're here now, then I would just be going to the press. I'd be giving interviews for 60 Minutes, not,
Right.
I don't know. I guess he really wanted to get his revenge, but whatever.
Well, he had
Um,
PTSD too. There is actually an interesting trivia bit about this episode too. There's a scene where they're at the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, which I
yes.
have been to actually.
Yeah, me
It's a
too.
pretty cool place to visit. But
Yes.
apparently, because this was in Vancouver, they weren't actually at the Vietnam Memorial,
Oh,
and they
really?
put like the names of the X Files cast and crew all over the monument.
Mm. See, I thought this one was one of the few that they actually left the
Oh God, no, never, never.
mm. All right. Very, very cool. Didn't know that. When Mulder, in previous episodes, Mulder is shown to carry two handguns, one on his belt and one on his ankle. When Mulder enters the Pentagon in this episode, he gives the security guard only the gun in his belt. And he's able to pass for metal detector, so maybe he forgot his gun. That was a little goof. Um, yeah, but I'm with Pete. Forgettable, but gets the job done type of episode. Not the worst. And
They're not all going to be solid gold in a 24 episode season.
well, definitely not. Okay, and then oh shit, I just erased something here that I shouldn't have. I was talking to Pete a couple nights ago, and he's like, "Yeah, Max shows up in one of these next episodes." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, for like 2 seconds," and then it just happened to
Yeah,
be one of the next episodes that I watched. I was like, "Oh yeah, Pete was not lying." So this is now the episode Tempus Fuji. They're
I
going
think
with the
it's
Latin.
Fugit. I
Is it
think it's
Fugit?
Fugit. Yeah.
Uh, Never did the Latin thing. But Tempus Fugit, what does that mean? Time's up?
I
Like
believe it is something like that. Yes, I know Tempest is time. I'm not sure about Fugit.
time flies. This
Time
episode's title is
flies.
Latin for time
Oh
flies.
yeah. Oh, that's very clever. That's
It
very
is
clever,
frequently
given the
used as
context.
yes. It is frequently used as an inscription on clocks. Okay, so
Ah,
there we
okay.
go. And this episode features the first appearance of Matt Fennig since season one's Fallen Angels. So season four doing a lot of callbacks, and he was a
Hmm.
fan favorite because way back when we reviewed that episode, one thing that I liked about it is that Max was kind of the audience. He played the part of the audience who was so excited about this show. All
Hmm.
us who grew up on unsolved mysteries and were fans of Art Bell late night and deep into the conspiracy theories were like, wow, we've got our show finally. And then Max was really us. And so cool to have him back. Sad to see him go. And here's Max. And
Yeah.
there goes
There he
Max.
goes. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so this one premiered on March 16th into 18.5 million viewers, written by Chris Carter, Frank Sputnitz, and this time we see here that it was directed by Rob Bowman, has an 8.6 rating on IMDb. So mysterious circumstances surround the crash of a commercial jet as Mulder and Scully race against mysterious government agents to discover the truth about what happened before it can be covered up. And the teaser is great, okay? There's an airliner flying over upstate New York, and Max Fennig is very, very nervous. He's got this knapsack, and is reassured by the man sitting next to him that air travel is relatively safe. But there's this guy that's absorbing, observing him for some time, gets up to use the bathroom, and he's got one of those non metallic guns, which is really cool. And armed with this weapon, the man approaches Mac's seat, is ready to kill him, and then boom! The abduction happens. The lights flash and everything. But we
Yeah.
find out later that the plane crashes, okay? Um, and this becomes the conspiracy, mm, which is the how did the plane crash? Blah blah blah. But I think it's Pete. I think it's on you. So go ahead.
No, I think this was your turn, but
Oh,
whatever.
was it? Yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Cause
yeah. No, no. As far as these two-part mythology bits go, there's always like at least two mid-season and then one at the end of the season. This is a big improvement over the last one, and I like
very.
that it was basically about dissecting what the fuck happened with this plane. Like it was boiled down to bare bones science, and the overall conspiracy aspect of it was secondary. It comes into play a bit more in the second half, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But basically, this episode is just like, first of all, poor Max. It's like, oh, we hoped he was doing so well, but now we're going to need his dental records. And basically, like, just what the fuck happened to this plane? So it kind of took you through the process that people go through when figuring stuff like this out. Actually, one of the only Portuguese language books I've attempted to read to improve my language, besides Peppa the Pig, Steps in Muddy Puddles, which was really easy, was a book called Black Box, which is about how crash investigators put together what actually happened in those final moments. And this kind of took us through that in a bit of a superficial way. Like I like the way what are they called? The National Transportation Safety Board. This is who Mulder and Scully are working with on this one. And the actor who played the guy who was in charge of that, he's really familiar, but I can't actually say his name or where I know him from.
I'll
But
find that out for you. Mike Miller,
never,
but go ahead.
yeah. Nevertheless, like when Mulder and Scully show up on the scene, and Mulder starts asking all these UFO questions, he's really insulted, and you can't blame him, right? Like this is his job. He's a serious crash investigator. He has a lifetime of training, probably. He knows the process to go through. And Mulder's like, did anyone experience time loss? Which, of course, they all did. Blah blah blah. And the guy in charge of the safety board investigation is just infuriated. But as the episode goes on and they find all the bodies with their watches all stolen, somebody's stolen all their watches. He kind of warms up to Mulder. He's like, "Hey, buddy, like if you know something, like I want to hear it, no matter how much it sounds, no matter how outrageous it sounds. Like, okay, you're here for a reason, so give me your expertise." So I kind of liked how Mulder won over the skeptic. I like the investigative angle of it. I like seeing Max again for a few seconds. And something we cannot overlook, what is Scully's birthday? This is the second time it's come up, and it is actually consistent.
Yes, and Mulder actually remembers.
Yes, it is February 23rd, 1964. And this whole episode takes place over Scully's birthday, where Mulder is happy to, for the first time, acknowledge her birthday. And what happens? They have to go investigate a plane crash. And the only reason they do is because Max's supposed sister crashes the party. And they're like, what? Max? Fuck. Okay, we got to check this out. So, yeah, this worked on a lot of levels in terms of connecting to previous stories, to exploring their lives outside the FBI, to giving us an investigative perspective that didn't necessarily have to relate to aliens, but of course, in this case, it did.
Yes, including a very good jump scare when Mulder goes down into the lake to because they kind of
That's the
figured
end.
that yes, it's super scary. Because what they start to figure out is that because the military shot the plane down, or they were shooting at something else, and um, the explosion hit the passenger, the airliner,
Yeah,
and
the
it crashed.
the
But what
aliens
they
came to get Max, and they shot down the
exactly
UFO, but they took off both planes. Or actually, no, I think they missed the UFO.
no, they missed the
They just
UFO.
got
They
the
were
plane. Yeah,
no, yeah, that's the thing. I think they were because it was kind of confusing. It's like there was the airliner, then there were the UFO came, and then like a military jet showed up, and then
right.
I think they were shooting for the UFO, but they missed, or they hit the military jet. Anyway, that explosion. There was a second plane. There was the UFO, and they
No, they
figured
did
out
get the
that
UFO because that's the jump scare at the end. They got them.
yes,
They
yes,
they
you're right,
they
you're
hit the
right.
UFO, so they took out both planes. And Mulder realizes that there's a second aircraft, and he figures out the reason they haven't found it is because it landed in the water. So he
Yeah.
goes into the nearest lake looking for it, and then he sees like all the fucking dead aliens in the ship at the end.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, yeah, so using this story as a basis, Mulder claims that he believes the jet was shooting down a UFO that had taken control of 549 and that the plane went down with it. So that's basically what he figures. And a few things that I like. By the way, this guy, this actor, which is called Joe Spano. He's
Yeah,
been in a bunch of stuff. I'm on his IMDb page, but
that's the
possibly
guy. That's the guy. Yeah.
you might know him from maybe NCIS. He's been on there from 2003 to present. You might know him from Hill Street Blues. He was in that. He was in NYPD Blue too as Detective John Clark.
I
He
think maybe he's
was,
just a cop actor. There's a lot
yeah,
of
he's
guys
not.
who fit that
Yes,
bit.
he looks like one of those guys. He was in Jag. That was a cool little series. Captain Jack Murphy. Um, he was in Apollo 13 as the NASA director.
That's where I know him from, probably.
Yes. Let me see what else here. He's been in a bunch of stuff, man. L.A. Law. Hill Street Blues as Lieutenant Henry Goldblum. That was a cool little series. And possibly another one that you may know him from is way back when he was in American Graffiti as Vic.
Ah, okay.
Yes, that was actually his second credited role
He's just
after
got like
one.
a really familiar face.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he was really good. Which I liked is that eventually he couldn't go against the evidence because, as much as he thought Mulder was crazy, but then he finds that there's high levels of radiation by the door, and the door was pulled out in a weird way that's like impossible for this to have been, an explosion. So he maybe doesn't believe in the aliens, but he does think some weird stuff is happening. And Max's sister, air quotes, appears in the episode, and this guy Frisch, whatever, he plays the character called Louis Fritsch. He goes out to this lake where it's possible that this other plane crashed, and he sees a UFO. So he kind of goes along with Mulder for a little bit and realizing, okay, this plane may have fallen for reasons that are a bit more unexplainable than I thought. And I love the scenes too, where the agents are going through the crash site and they're taking away evidence. I love when the X Files does that because it does make you think, ooh, what if the government does do that? What if you know, when that plane crashed in Pennsylvania during 9/11, if there weren't agents there taking evidence that would have been, how did all those passports end up at the bottom of the World Trade Center? The plane completely crashed. The buildings tumbled, caught on fire, but they were able to find the passports of these hijackers down there. And thus start your conspiracy about 9/11 is an inside job. So I like that the X Files keys into those things of like, yeah, you can have agents down there doing all this stuff, and who would notice if somebody picked up evidence or dropped evidence that we want to find. And so I dug that too. And as Pete said, I had kind of been ragging on the mythology episodes this season, but this is one that I really dug, and I actually dug this and part two, um, because it's a mythology episode, but it's like a closed mythology episode. It doesn't really
Yeah.
um, ha- have much to do with the bigger mythology arc. It does involve aliens. It does involve Max, which is cool. It's a nice tribute to Max, kind of nice send off, especially episode two, and it doesn't drag on as the
No, no.
mythology tends to do before the movie, because, like we had said a couple weeks back, Chris Carter was kind of painted into a corner, and he just had to drag the mythology on because he wanted to make the movie after this season. And Fox was like, no, you're doing it after season 5, and it's not a cap for the series. It's just like a middle point. And Chris Carter was like, oh, great. What do we do? So Max, which is the next episode, premiered on March 23rd. Oh, and by the way, we forgot to say a really important part.
That Scully's a drunken admirer gets shot at the
I
end of this
know,
episode.
so sad
Yeah,
about this.
he
Pedro,
kind
I
of
know.
deserved it. He was being he was being a toxic male. That's what he was being.
Oh wow. Okay, so we got to write to Vulture and tell him to put that in
Yeah,
there. Yeah, but I like Pedro, man. He's the other audience members, which was all the geeky boys like you and me who were
yeah.
in
Just
love
want
with
to buy
Scully.
Scully a drink. Yeah,
Yeah, just wanted to buy Scully a drink and get a little bit of her attention, but she was in love with this douchebag called Mulder. God damn it. Um, so
so
there
he
you
gets
go.
shot
And he gets
and
shot saving
dies.
her.
He
I
dies.
know. And I even put Pedro can't die without giving Scully a good, birthday gift, which is what he was gonna give her, and she gives him that hope, like you can't die without, giving me a good birthday. So fortunately, that was not enough to keep our friend alive. So this is like I said, premiered on March 23rd, viewed by 18 million people, written by Chris Carter, Frank Sputnik, and directed by Kim Manners. And Scully and Mulder continued their investigation of a commercial airliner crash and discovered that it may have been sacrificed by the military in order to obtain some alien technology. And once again, Mulder. Good Lord, Mulder sucks at running away, man. They catch him so quickly, So,
Yes.
because in
Well,
the
he is
previous,
underwater.
yeah, it doesn't matter if he was underwater, because he gets caught if he's underwater or over water in shorts and without shorts. He just sucks at running away way back from. Remember that season 1 episode where he sneaks into the into that government facility because the stoner kids tell him that there's the light show. Man, he gets caught within like as soon as he goes past, don't go past the cornfield, boom,
Yeah.
So
But I
Mulder's
mean,
great
really, he should
at
be
getting.
caught, though. How secure of a government facility can it be if one person can sneak on there without taking like any kind of super powered precautions? I mean, realistically, he should be caught.
Oh, no, I get that realistically he should be caught. It's just silly that he does all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, man. Although he's got a few good escapes. I'm like the one with the lone gunman. He got out of there just in time. Um, But here, no luck for him. He's under the murky waters of the great Sacandaga Lake in upstate New York. And the military guys are there. Okay. And they're after him. And they do arrest him, but eventually he is released from jail. And the Air Force asserts that Flight 549 collided with a military fighter jet when Frisch and his tower controllers made an error in judgment. That's the story.
Yes, and
And
they are not in a position to dispute that story either.
exactly, okay. Scully tells Mulder that Agent Pendrell dies of his injuries. Mulder conveys his sympathies, and we find out that this girl that claimed that she was Max Fenix's sister is really not, okay? But she was just a follower of his.
She's just a UFO groupie.
Exactly, she's a groupie, and oof, I forgot who Mike Millar was. Is that the
Mike Millar, that's the crash investigator guy.
is I thought that
I
was
believe.
Frisch. I think Mike Millar is
No,
the
you're right.
no, you're correct. I'm getting confused here. Tom
Yes,
O'Brien
yeah,
is Sergeant Louis Frisch. I'm confusing.
yeah.
Sorry. Mike
Mike
Millar is
Millar
the
is the crash investigator.
yeah, and Frisch is the sergeant who
Yes.
shot it down by mistake. Um and Scully is trying to get him to testify. That's the reason, by the way, that Pendrell gets shot, because this guy is after this dude to shoot him down. And in all this mess, Pendrell jumps in front of the line of fire and gets killed.
He takes
Uh,
one for his girl.
oh, so terrible. But we
Yeah.
do
He
get
was
kind of a
apparently
conclusion.
in like 8 episodes too.
Yeah, but he
Agent
made it.
Pendrell, he was in 8 previous episodes, starting with Nisei.
Yeah, he made an impact, man. He was our groupie.
Yeah.
He was the Scully groupie. Poor
Yes.
dude. It's that girl you'll never get, guys. Totally out of your league. Um, so, according to Mulder, Max boarded the plane carrying physical proof of the existence of extraterrestrial life. That's what we get as the explanation. Why did this thing go down? Because there was proof of extraterrestrial life, and there's other ones of these little meteors around. So Mulder is able to find another one. He's being followed because they're trying to get this other meteor. He finds a third piece of this meteor inside one of Fennec's luggages. He boards a flight to Washington. The problem is, he's also
Mm-hmm.
being followed by this assassin,
Yes.
Agent Pendrell's killer. But when he's up in the sky, boom, the lights go off. Well, not the lights go off,
Yeah.
the lights go on,
On.
really. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much on. The wristwatch stops and a UFO intercepts the aircraft and takes back its little meteor or whatever it is that's in the bag. And Garrett, who had taken the bag from Mulder, he's in the plane, goes off with the UFO, and they do
He's
whatever they.
gone.
He
Bye
is
bye.
gone. Now, I'll tell you what, I gave this 3 stars. It closed mythology episode, but I thought it was cool compared to the other mythology episodes this season. And it's a fair one to Max. I love how they had the Max videos, the VHS tapes.
Yes.
He was so authentically a UFO nut from the 90s, man. I used to hang out with a lot of these folks. He was really well written, really well done, really sweet character. And in my heart of hearts, I would like to believe that Max got taken to a better place with his UFO
Mm.
buddies. You right? Oh no, he didn't. I forgot because he found his
They
body.
find
Didn't
his
he find his?
body. They find his
Oh no.
body. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Plus, I'm also watching the first. I watched tonight the first Cassandra Spender episode. It's like now there's no alien paradise.
Oh, I remember when she comes in. Oh God, it's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. Oh, so sad, man. They should have let Max Fennick. Yeah, several years later, Fenix is found dead amongst the victims of an airplane crash. Poor dude, man. These aliens have no heart, no soul. And like Pete said, and he's gone. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. So yeah, a cute little mythology arc. Not my favorites, but pretty damn good. So let's
Yeah.
close it out,
I,
Pete. Unless
yeah,
you
for
got
sure.
something to say about Max, or are you good?
No, yeah, just that I like the fact that there were no loose ends in this one. I mean,
Yes.
there were for the investigators, but the audience was actually allowed in on it because that whole scene on the plane, that's where it all comes together. And Mulder's left clueless, but we know what happened with everything. And that's actually rare for the X Files. Like a lot of these stories, you're like, wait, what the fuck just happened there? And throughout
Hmm.
this whole two-parter, we know what's going on, but everyone else doesn't. So that was kind of what I liked about this two-parter is that the audience was in on it and nobody else was, not even Mulder and Scully.
I got you. I feel you. And that's it, right? We're good. Oh, that actually
Yeah,
went
yeah,
by
yeah.
pretty quick. Okay, so just to review here and give us a watch and skip, our usual watch and skip list, we reviewed Never Again, which I say is definitely a watch. Very much dig this episode. For Jodie Foster alone, she was great. Great voice work.
Yes, I would say this is a must watch, not only for the X Files Silence of the Lambs connection, but also just for a different perspective of Scully. She's great in this.
And then after that, we hit Memento Mori, which, good lord, man, I say skip. I mean, Gillian Anderson does a great acting job, but for me, it's just boring. These episodes where she's in the hospital, and yeah, she's sick, she's sad, but the story continues. I don't think you miss much if you miss this episode.
I'm wow. We usually agree on the skip or miss things, but I'm going to disagree on this, even though I agree with most of your reasons. Simply because I think this is, first of all, it ties in very crucially to later episodes as to why she's sick, and also, Jillian's great, and it it would be kind of insincere to have that revelation in the Leonard Betts episode and then not follow it up with something like this where she really looks at it full on. So it may not be the greatest episode, but I think it's an important episode to watch in the overreaching context of the series.
I got you. And then next episode we got Kaddish, which is not a classic, but it works for me. I say, as a standalone, you might dig it. So I'll say watch if you're just looking for an X Files episode to get you through 40 minutes of your life. It does the job.
Yeah, I would say if you're gonna watch one of their ethnic horror episodes, then watch the Chupacabra one. That's better. Like if you had to pick just one, it wouldn't be this.
I agree with
So
that.
I would go skip.
Then we got Unrequited, which I'm on the fence about, man, because that's another one that I feel it's kind of like a dish. Like it's not great, but it just gets you from point A to point B. Kind of a quick moving plot. You know, doesn't waste too much time
Re-
with the stuff, but it's just
Yeah.
kind of convoluted at the same time. So I'll be nice because I've been saying skip a lot. So I'll say watch this one. You might dig it. Who knows? It's not the greatest X Files episode, but it's not terrible either.
All right. I'm gonna say watch Rambo First Blood 2 instead.
I would agree with that, though. I can give you that definitely. And then we got Tempest Fuji, Fugit, whatever. Time flies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Um,
it's me. No, definitely watch. This is a watch for me. I dug it. I dug this and Max. Yeah.
yeah, definite watch. And the funny thing is, it's not that essential to the overall story. It's just that if you have found some of the two-parters a bit tiresome and their lack of resolution, this is something you can sink your teeth into.
That's a perfect assessment. And that's it, y'all. Season 4, episodes 13 through 18 of The X Files. And next week, we will be reviewing the end of season 4 and giving you our thoughts on the season as a whole. And then moving on to season 5. So, thanks everybody for watching. And also, we'll be giving our top episodes of the season. How many do we do? I always forget. How many when we because I got a
I
list
think
here.
I think we do 8.
I thought so too. It would be like 2 from each podcast, but if we do 2 from each podcast, 2, 4, 6, 8, I get 10. If I pick 2 from this one, 2 from the last
No,
one.
no. Six divided by 24 divided by 6 is 4 episodes.
So we've
So
only
that
done
would
4.
theoretically
2,
be
4, 6,
2
8. Yeah,
times
yeah, you're
4
right.
is 8. Yeah.
Why the hell is my
That's
numbering all
like
wrong?
second grade math.
No, you know what it is? Well, yeah, well, I'm not good at first grade math. Um, I think Pete, what it is that I think I didn't like a whole batch from one of our other podcasts. So I have like,
How you don't have to pick from like
yeah,
one specific podcast. There's like
yes,
some chunks of seasons that are just phenomenal. It's like I'll pick all those. That's fine.
I know. It's just that I've been doing that because usually we've had that, but in this season there's this stretch here that I kind of didn't like. So that's why I got all
Mm-hmm.
confused. Because it's just easier, when I'm thinking, oh, I'll just pick two from each podcast and I'll get eight. All right, that makes sense. All right, all right, all right. Anyway,
Although season 5 is only 20 episodes, we might have to
yes,
alter
it's
our
shorter.
format for
It's
that.
shorter. Oh, we can do 5 episodes each, right? Is that good? 5, 4. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Second grade math, golden star for me. I gotta get it right sometimes, guys. Um, Okie dokie, everybody. It's late. Pete and I have worked our asses off all day. I'm talking
Mm.
nonsense, and Peach is
On a
dealing with
holiday,
it
no less.
on a holiday, nonetheless. And although tomorrow supposedly is his holiday, that's what's confusing. Like for me, it's tomorrow the holiday. That's when everybody canceled. I don't get it. It's bizarre. So it is what the hell it is. It's Brazil. It's not the. This is actually not the weirdest thing that happens in this country. So until next time, y'all, I'm out, and Pete is too. See ya.
Keep the faith.
Keep the faith. What the hell? All right. Keep believing. Don't stop believing.
Yes.